No police squad and guns cameras at the same time. I'm not that connected.
Good afternoon. I'm Michelle Gavin, Community Relations Administrator for Savannah Chatham Metro Police. We are here today to address violence which occurred over the weekend. We have with us today Mayor Eddie Deloach here behind me. Also, Chief Joseph H. Lumpkin Sr., Assistant Chief Julie Talbert, Captain Ashley Brown, who heads up our in-gun violence initiative, and also Lieutenant David Bearfield, who heads up our cold case unit. You're going to hear today from Captain Ashley Brown, followed by some statements from Lieutenant Bearfield, and then we'll take a few questions. So at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Captain Ashley Brown.
Good afternoon. The Savannah Chatham Metropolitan Police Department has experienced a violent weekend to include 3 shootings and 3 robberies. Of these incidents, 2 people are deceased. One is in extreme critical condition with life-threatening injuries. We at Savannah Chatham Metropolitan Police Department want to be as transparent as possible as we investigate these crimes. However, in doing so, we do not want to compromise any investigations or hinder the hard work that investigators are doing at this time. We want to make sure that the public has information they need to remain safe, and also dispel any rumors that may increase the fear of the public. Now, the shootings from the weekend. All 3 shootings took place in a historically violent corridor in the Central Precinct. This corridor is the metropolitan neighborhood, which includes Anderson to Victory and Bull to MLK Boulevard. One arrest has been made in a Friday night shooting where the victim and the suspect were known to each other. It was a new boyfriend, ex-boyfriend scenario. The 2 females that were shot on Saturday night, this appears to be a non-random shooting. Now, one of the victims is in extreme critical condition with life-threatening injuries. The reason we have not released any names is because investigators are currently working active leads, and we want to keep their names out of the media as not to compromise this investigation. Investigators are working active leads in the homicide from last night, which was Sunday night, and the victim has been identified as Reginald Washington, who's 43 years old. We are shifting resources to address the crimes in those areas. We can't go into specific details. As we're on the news, I don't want the bad guys to see what we're doing, so I'm not going to go into specifics about that. The majority of our homicides and other violent crimes, we have noticed a correlation with risky behavior. Risky behaviors and being involved with people committing risky behaviors will increase the threats that you may be involved in. We are offering a $10,000 reward for any information that leads to the arrest and conviction of any individuals involved in the recent homicides or any prior open homicides that remain unsolved at this time. Metro Police is also in the process of launching its cold case unit. Several investigators are beginning training this week. Now to address the robberies. As it relates to group violence, we do believe that the 3 robberies from this weekend are being committed by a single group of individuals. The first robbery was at Whitfield Square at 11:11 p.m. last night. That's near the intersection of Habersham and Gordon. The second was a robbery carjacking at East Charlton Street and Drake. That was at 11:28, about 15 minutes later. The third robbery was a home invasion at East Park Avenue and East Broad. That was at 3:15 a.m. this morning. Metro Police is also offering a $10,000 reward for the arrest and conviction of any individuals who have committed robberies in the past 3 months between Anderson and Bay and MLK to East Broad Street and are linked to this serial robbery group. Now, as you know, this is an area where we have seen an increase in armed robberies, especially in the late evening, early morning hours. We believe that several of these recent violent crimes are linked to groups. Now, the in-gun violence model is being used in our everyday crime fight, solving crimes, identifying links, and offering resources to those individuals involved is what's happening. We're trying to convince these folks to take a different path, and we're offering resources to make that available in an easy transition. End gun violence is not just a program, but it has become a culture of this police department. Lastly, we must, as a community, break away from the philosophy that if we give information, if citizens tell the police department what they know, that they're snitching. That's not what they're doing, they're helping. It is imperative that the community stands together with us in this fight against crime. At the Metro Police Department, we strive to work cooperatively with citizens, groups of citizens, and both public and private organizations to identify and work together to bring these violent offenders to justice. Now, we have over 240,000 citizens in this community. We must not accept the actions of this small group of violent offenders that is causing these problems here. We must work together to fight this crime, the police department and the citizens. We have safeguards in place that will protect any citizen that's providing us with information. Also, Crime Stoppers is an anonymous group that allows citizens to provide information without giving their identity. We are asking that the community call with information. They can call 911. They can call our SCMPD tip line at 525-3124. That's 525-3124. Or they can call Crime Stoppers with any information at 234-2020. If you see something, say something.
Now I'd like to introduce Lieutenant David Bearfield, who is heading up our new cold case unit.
Good afternoon. Today, the Metro Police Department has initiated a dedicated cold case unit. This cold case unit, as of now, consists of 7 investigators. These investigators are not rookie investigators. They have years and years of experience. They're very knowledgeable in investigations, and I feel that this unit is going to allow us to dedicate more resources to these unsolved homicides and other unsolved cases. We want the community to know that their loved ones' cases are not forgotten. We constantly think about the cases. We're constantly trying to develop information on those cases, and this unit will allow us those extra resources and the extra expertise and time to dedicate our cases, or our resource to those cases. If anyone has any information on any unsolved cases, we urge you to contact the SCMPD tip line and or Crime Stoppers. Have any questions for me, I'd be happy to take it.
Do you have any questions first for Lieutenant Bearfield, specifically to the cold case unit?
What is your caseload looking like right now in terms of numbers?
Numbers is not something that I'll get into at this point, but what I will tell you is that we have cases starting back as early as last year, going backwards in time that we're reviewing. There's a systematic system in place for that in order to determine which cases have the most probability of being solved in the thus far.
What would you determine is a cold case at this point?
Basically, a cold case is going to be any case that's still open, it's still active. Obviously, if there's a homicide that has not been solved, someone's not been brought to justice, then those are the sort of cases that we're considering to be cold cases that we would like to provide some sort of justice to the family of the victim.
The investigators you're talking about, what are their skill sets, or what are you guys doing differently than perhaps as just a regular detective unit would be doing what you're doing now as cold case unit?
So the cold case unit, the expertise that they have is they have previous experience from investigating homicides. We have someone that's actually in the unit with his expertise is forensics, and as you know, that's very important in these cases. So it will allow us to be able to go back in time and to figure out if there's any property or evidence that we may have that we couldn't do anything with maybe in the past because the test wasn't available. We know each day the new scientific methods are being evolved, so that will allow us to look at those methods and see if we can apply it to that case. So basically, any case like that is still open, we would like the community to come forward and to help us. If you know anything on any current cases that are open or any cases in the past.
What would you have to tell families out there who some of them have been waiting for years for some sort of answer in these cases?
I would tell them that they are not forgotten about, and we're going to, like I said, we're going to review all the cases that we have, and see if there's any other evidence that we can come up with, or if there's anyone else in the community that maybe for whatever reason in the past they were, maybe they didn't want to come forward to the police, or maybe they didn't want to make that phone call. Circumstances do change, and maybe someone's circumstances have changed, and now they can come forward and help us solve that crime.
Any questions for Captain Brown?
Captain, obviously you've been going at this for months and months, you know, and under gun violence for a period of time. You know, you talked about the successes we're having, yet we seem to still be having some of the violent crime in some of the exact same areas we've had it before.
That's true. We're still working really hard on these cases and these groups in particular. I have a team of officers right now focusing on a certain group, and you know, we had an initiative, a law enforcement action not long ago that targeted a group of subjects that were centrally located not that far from where these violent crimes happened over the weekend. But we're not going to give up on it. We're not going to quit fighting this fight.
Two of the violent crimes this weekend were in the same location at that gas station. What kind of cooperation are you getting from the business community where some of these things are happening on your turf?
You know, I can't speak specifically about this case, but I know that for the most part we're getting good cooperation from the businesses.
You're looking at a situation where, you know, is it the same people? Are these people that you have been targeting in the end gun violence program, are they the ones committing these very violent crimes out there?
Some of them, yes. It's not 100% guaranteed that